Joining us this week on the Dockhouse Rugby Show is a former Castleford, Doncaster and Bramley player. In his playing days, he was on the team sheet as Wayne Thornton. He played by the rules of the 1980s, played hard both on and off the field. He's now an actor who loves going to the gym and trekking up to the Himalayas. Joining us today is my mate, Danny Thornton. Danny, welcome to the Dockhouse Rugby Show.
Hi, Keith. Nice to meet up again.
Yeah, it's good to see you. Good to see you. You know, we've met previously in your new life outside of rugby. Obviously, you're now an actor, and we're going to come to that in a bit. But me and you met on a film set not too long ago, and it was nice to have the common theme of rugby league in the room, because not often we get that on set. So it was really good to have a chat and to listen to some of your tales. And I thought, right, we need to get your stories out there. So what we always say, Danny, is, where did your rugby league journey start? What's your first memory of rugby league?
So I've got two brothers who are a lot older than me. They're like, one's 13 years older, our Richard, and our Phil is 15 years older. So, so I grew up with two. I didn't get bullied or anything. They looked out for me, because obviously there were a massive age difference, and they were both really big into the rugby, Cas fans, especially our Phil with Cas fans. And I used to go down lane, where our Phil and what have you. And it turned up actually about, I don't know, a couple of years ago, and he brought me first pair of boots. He'd found them in a cupboard somewhere. They're tiny, my first pair of rugby boots. So yeah, that were a nice touch. I've got them in drawer actually. So I was brought up kind of with rugby league. To say my brothers were well into rugby, and I got interested in rugby early on. I started going to Cas games, and I started going to watch them. Because but by the time I was of any kind of age, they were near enough men. And our Phil played for a team in Alton called Three Horseshoes, which was obviously a pub, which then turned into Alton Rugby. They moved out. They were based in the Three Horseshoes pub in Alton, and they moved in with Alton Cricket Club and became Alton, and they played for Alton. So I used to go watch there, and then my other brother, our Richard, who was into rugby league, he played rugby union for Leeds YMCA. So I used to go over and watch them. So be at side at field with the ball, messing about and what have you. And I've had rugby since a really young age.
So you were brought up with a ball in your hand, always just throwing it about, and just
Yeah.
a natural feel for it. And it's a great thing that's often said to players nowadays, especially as a coach. If you want your kids to play rugby, just stick a ball in their hand. They don't have to do anything fancy with it. Just get them used to how it feels. And if it bounces, it goes that way. When it bounces sometimes, and it can go that way. And you get to read the ball and play the ball. And if you're hanging about with the ball in your hands, it kind of becomes second nature, doesn't it, to you?
It does. It does. I was messing about with ball. Not that when I became a professional, became a professional and all that lot. I wasn't particularly a ball handling forward or anything. I mean, obviously I can, but I were, like you say, I were accustomed. I'm always decent at, catching a ball and wherever height it comes at me and what have you.
Yeah. You
What
read the ball and
read the ball,
yeah, and the distance and the grasp of it.
yeah.
So okay, so you're watching it as a young lad, and you're watching your brothers play. What was your first club? Where did you sign up, and who took you down?
Yeah, my first club, I was brought up in a place called Methley, which is about 2 miles outside of Cass. It's got Leeds postcode. It's 2 miles from Cass, but it's got a Leeds postcode.
Right.
I was brought up there, and my first club was Stanley Rangers. So, which I'm sure you've you'll have heard of Stanley,
Mm,
which is quite a well-known amateur club, aren't there? So yeah, I went down there. I'm trying to think what age, maybe under. I think they start them a lot earlier nowadays, don't they? Like it's under six and stuff. I
mm.
can't remember if I were under nine or under 11, maybe. I don't know, something like that. So I played at Stanley Rangers, yeah, and there were a few. Um, we used to operate, if I remember rightly, out of the Ship Inn, which were Dave Sampson's pub.
Right.
Dean Sampson's dad,
Yeah, yeah.
who used to coach second and first team at Cass at various times. So we used to operate, we used to get changed there and go back for a beer. Not that I was drinking at 9 years old or whatever.
Because so they start them young in Cass.
Yeah. So, and there were a few players about who, like, there were a bloke called Brian Aston, who was, Mark Aston.
Hmm.
It's Mark Aston's dad, and he coached. I think he was my first coach. I think he was my first coach. So you're going to hear this quite a lot through this conversation. I think.
I think. Yeah.
I think he was, yeah. So, yeah, but Gary Lord played with there, and his brother Flash, who played for, I think he played for Oldham. Can't remember his first name actually, but
Mhm.
yeah. So there were
Second
quite.
name wasn't Gordon, was it? Flash Gordon.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. So Stanley were my first club. Stanley Rangers were my first club, and I went to school from Methley. It's a village, so we went to school at Rothwell actually.
Right.
So went to Rawhide at Rothwell, and I started playing. They played rugby union, so I played rugby union at school, and rugby league at Stanley Rangers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did
so
you
that was,
did you have a preference at that age, rugby league or union?
yeah, league, always,
Yeah.
always and forever. Yeah.
Any particular reason, Danny?
Um, well, certainly as I got older, it suited my game more. I really didn't like, as because I did play open age union. I'll come on to that, but I did play open age, and it's all, I like with league how you get set in a defensive line, and then you can go up and bang and tackle. Whereas in union, it's all from like broken play. You know what I mean? People peeling off, and it just didn't suit my style. I love tackling. Tackling
Yeah.
were my best part of my game, and my favourite part as well. And I love tackling, but to do it, not be able to line somebody up and give them a wallop in a nice way.
Yes.
That's why I preferred league.
Yeah, you prefer the physicality
Yeah, yeah,
and getting stuck in, and you're in a game as such.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so that was at school then. So they played rugby union.
Yeah. So
And
Three Horseshoes changed to Alton, and they started playing as Alton. And they got a junior setup going, and so I migrated down there, 13, 15s maybe.
so you're at the sort of like 16s age group then, still playing for your amateur club.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then what age was it when sort of like clubs started to get interested in you, Danny? How did that come about?
Because I was youngest in year, I started work at 15. So I like, you finish school, I don't know, whatever, May, June or whatever,
June.
whatever it
Yeah,
was.
June.
And then I didn't turn 16 till 31st of August. And I got an apprenticeship at Yorkshire Copper Works. I were an apprentice mechanical engineer. I mean, I live in an area that just lives and breathes rugby, and all around it's rugby league as well. The manager of the training centre, I worked at a place called Yorkshire Copper Works. It were a massive place. It were like there were 2,500 people there were 4,000, I believe, in its heyday. But this
right?
when I joined, sort of that would have been 82. There were 2,500 people were there, and
You just give your age away now. You said you was 15 in 1982.
yeah, work it out. I can't.
So go on. Sorry. So
Tell me.
you're at the copper work.
The manager or whatever of the training centre. You did your first year in the training centre where you learnt all bench skills and filing, what have you, how to operate a lathe, a milling machine, how to be a machinist, how to strip things down and all that. And then you went out into different departments. Well, the boss of that training centre was Peter Fox. There were quite a few rugby players worked at Copperworks at the time, and this is obviously pre-professional days.
The sport was semi-professional in them
Yeah,
days, wasn't it?
semi-professional.
Everybody
Yeah,
had you were a builder or a joiner, and
yeah.
in the week you go training on the night and you play on a weekend.
Exactly, and that's how I remember rugby league. Really, all my professional career, I was working, and there were a lot of rugby players there. I worked with Keith Rain as well. I don't know if you remember Keith. He played for Great Britain, did Keith, and played for Leeds, Wakey Trinity. Twins were Keith and Kevin. Both from Cass, actually. A lot of people from Cass worked in, even though it were at Leeds, it were in Sturton with this place. So yeah, and so I was playing for Alton, and when I was in my third year apprenticeship, when younger apprentices come into our shop, and it were Dean Sampson. Obviously, I knew him through being an apprentice there, and Dean played for Castleford Colts. So so Dean played for Cass Colts, and I played for Alton. But at this point in my career, or this point in my career, I was playing well. I was a decent player. I was never a fancy player. I wasn't a massive kid, and I wasn't gifted with pace really neither. But I'd got through a lot of work. I used to win, tackle count. Most weeks. The grafting were my game. Loads of tackles. I tackle above my weight as well. I would do some decent hits, and I'd run ball in and do hard yards and what have you. So I was doing that at Alton, and I'm at Alton, and we had a good team again. Few names, what you'll know. Kelvin Skirrett were in my team.
Was he a dirty bugger then?
Yeah, he was. Get him off! Get him off!
In a final run in a game. Andy! Oh, what about that? Send him off! Send the dirty get off! Get him off the field! That was diabolical! Get him off the field! That's just typical of what it is! Get him walking! They don't like it! Walk him, Campbell, if you've got it in bottle! If you've got it in bottle, Campbell, he should walk! That was absolute diabolical! It's going to be a yellow card. I can't speak. You ballless get, Campbell. You dickhead.
Get him off.
Get him off.
You Ben, get you.
He's on the bottle. Yeah, so Kelvin were there. His brother Andrew, what have you. His dad Ernie used to coach under 18s and what have you. We had a good, tough side. So I was playing for them. And I was playing for district side as well. And I was playing for open age as well, for open age as a I'm trying to think. I was maybe 17, probably 17-year old. So yeah, so that were that, and I just, Dean were at work, and oh yeah, I'm playing for Cass and this that, and Dean wasn't the player that he turned into. He were obviously a couple of years younger than me, and he turned up at work. He loved mentioning that he played for Cass, and I'm thinking, I could play for them, but I chose to play for Alton.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in. It didn't bother me playing pro rugby, to be fair. I was just happy doing what I was doing.
Yeah. And for anybody that doesn't know, the Colts is like what is the academy today, isn't it? Really, like the under 19,
is that
the reserves.
Yeah. So anyway, but Dean come in and he says, do you fancy a game with Colts? We're short. We've got, we're short. Could do with you if you want to play. Do you want a game? And I went, I'm not bothered. He's going, come on, And so he like said, oh, go on, and I'll play. So I played a game for Colts, and it was last game at season. Last game at season against Hunslet. And Dennis Hartley were coach, were Colts coach. So I went down for this game and I scored a try, which I didn't do very often actually. So yeah, I can remember them. I can remember every try I scored. So yeah, I scored a try and it was last game at season. And Dennis said, "Are you coming down next year?" Because I had another year because it was under 19s and what have you. Coming down next year, and I went, yeah, okay, I'll come down. So I went training with them the year after, which was the 85-86 season. So these are like obviously stagger the years, don't they?
Mm.
So
So it was winter rugby then as well.
Yeah. So I went down to Cass Colts year after, and that's when I started playing for Cass. And yeah, and it went really well. Say Dennis were coach at Colts. I mean, in Colts we had Grant Anderson, Sean Irwin, Roy Southern-Wood, there's Phil Murphy. There's quite a lot of people who these were a little bit younger than me actually. Dennis's lad, Richard Hartley, Johnny Blackburn. Yeah, there was some. We had a good team, but we won. Wigan had the best team. They were literally all got signed on, some like them. But we had a good team. So I played that season with them. So the 85-86 season, obviously as an AN over, and started playing with them. And I've saved my first wage packet. Not with Colts, obviously, but I got selected to play for A team, or I got asked to play for A team. It was in November of 85. Yeah, November of 85. Yeah, 85-86. I played that. November of 85, I played a game against Hunslet. So I got 14 quid.
14 quid.
Winning pay. Yeah, you could buy a 3-bed semi in them days in Cass for 14 quid. So. Yeah, so that was my first pay packet as A&O.
How just out of curiosity, and if you can remember, I know I'm throwing you on the spot, but how did that £14 compare to your apprenticeship money? Was it similar? Was it
when my first year at Copperworks, when I first started? So that had been a couple of years before. I started in 83. My first wage packet were like 20 odd quid.
Yeah.
So yeah, but this were a few years later, but not that, 3 years later. So
yeah. Was you still working at the Copperworks at this
yeah,
point?
I was still working at Copperworks. I was still in my apprenticeship. I was
Yeah.
in my third, fourth year, whatever, apprenticeship. It was 4 year apprenticeship.
Yeah, so it's a nice little top up then.
Yeah,
Spending
14
quid for playing. So go on. So you got your first pay packet for
So
playing for
yeah,
the A team.
I got my first pay packet in 85, Hunslet A team as another. And I was playing decent for Colts. I was playing all right, to be fair. And I got that November with my debut. That's why I saved the packet. And then it was like a regular thing where I was playing for Colts, and playing for A team quite a bit as another. And then early in 86, I can't remember the date. They offered me a pro contract. And say Malcolm Ridley were coach, and so you know, they'd had a good look at me, and I was doing well with Colts, and when I stepped up to A team, I was doing well with them, and so they offered me a contract. So I signed. I was a Cass fan. I love Cass. You know, it won. I couldn't. You know, it won like. I mean, on base of it, it was quite a good contract, but I had to captain Great Britain to get the biggest share of it.
Yeah, right.
Hey,
So
on a
it
winner,
was staggered. There was
yeah,
little milestones
yeah,
in it.
little milestones. I got a few at milestones, but I didn't get them all. Yeah, to get the biggest part of the wage, I had to captain Great Britain in a winning Ashes team in Australia
Wow.
and
Good
score
incentive, like, but
and score an hat trick. So yeah,
yeah.
but yeah, yeah,
Some of the milestones were quite high.
yeah, yeah. You know, we like international honours and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, full on international honours, not just junior sort of, you know, not Colt thing or whatever. So
Yeah. So
yeah,
you had to have knocked people like Harry Pinner off the perch at that point then.
yeah. I've
Yeah.
seen your documentary about Harry as well. It was very good.
All right, thank you.
Yeah,
It was good that we enjoyed it. Harry loved it as well. So it was
yeah,
great.
yeah, yeah.
It's
It's good.
great. So Malcolm Riley signs you.
Yeah.
How does that go down? You know, are you living at home at this point? Still, you still with parents? Are you still?
Let me think. I bought my own house, not with my wage from Cass. Didn't get. I bought my own house. I think I was 18, and I lived in Methley. My parents lived in Methley, but I bought my own house in Cass because Cass then had started to become sort of centre at universe for me. You know, we're playing, training, going out down there, you know, for a drink. And this is going to crop up quite a bit in the conversation tonight. You know, it was a different time to what you are today. Like I say, I was working. I was a semi-pro. We were all semi-pros. After the game, we went and we had beers. You
Let's get him in.
Yeah.
know,
It was the done thing.
it was the dumb thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes too many beers.
There you go, lads. Merry Christmas.
Sounds like a good deal.
So I bought an house in Cass so that I lived there. Okay, Copperworks was in Leeds, but there were enough people from Cass who worked at Copperworks to get a lift through because I didn't drive at this time either.
Right.
So I used to get a lift to work and bought my own house in Cass.
So what Malcolm Riley? What was he like as a coach?
It was a great bloke. I always got on with Mal, but you'd know that if he asked you to do something, you know, like, you know, some trainers like run people into the ground, he could do it as well. And he'd lead by example. He was so fit. Yeah, so he'd have been in his probably early mid 30s, maybe 40,
Yeah.
mid late 30s probably.
Yeah. But he was an enforcer as a player. He wasn't the biggest player on the park, but he was.
No.
The reports I've heard about him was just a hard man.
Yeah.
Just a really hard bloke.
Yeah. He was a really, really hard bloke. But he was a fair, you knew exactly what you got with him. You know exactly where you were with him. I went out and give it me all every game and wore me out. I'd like to think I wore me out on my sleeve, and he liked that about me. And yeah, and like I say, I got a contract. It's fun when I when I started doing this. So we were doing some runs where we were sprinting for like half length at the field and what have you. But he says, right, he says, we're going to sprint and but I want you to do it from a rolling start and what have you. So he said, right, go. I didn't know what rolling start meant. So I like, he says, that rolling start, go. So I got down, did a forward roll, got up and set off running while everybody's falling apart and what have you.
So you did a roly-poly start.
I did a roly-poly start. I didn't know it was just a bloody jogging thing. And absolutely creased up and I'm going, what?
I bet you got some ribbing from lads with that, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, dear.
So debut. What did that feel like for you? What was the feeling there? Walking out, making your debut for the first team,
For the third year, so that was 4th of March, 87.
right?
It was against Saints, and I told you that I think we lost. We
Yeah,
actually won.
right.
Yeah, we didn't
Brilliant.
win. It was before, before that the lean period where we didn't win for God knows how
But
long.
Cass had a cracking side.
Yeah,
I mean, it was the Beardmores were in that
yeah,
team,
yeah.
weren't they? Kevin
Kevin
Ward
Ward.
was in the
Yeah,
team.
yeah,
There was some top players in that side. I remember Cass being a really, really good side.
yeah,
As a young boy, 87. So I was still at school, at high school, but sat on the wall in the paddock. But yeah, I'm just saying, your day walking out,
yeah.
or your first day,
Yeah,
you wake up and it's going to be your debut. What's the thought process? What goes
it
on?
was. I mean, I think it was like somebody had got injured, and I think somebody had got injured. Like day. I didn't have too long to mull about it. I can't remember if it was day before or same day as the game, and so I didn't have too long to mull about it. But I was really excited, and I started as well. I said to you, I subbed. I didn't. I started. It was 4th of March.
You've
Same.
played it down when you spoke to me, didn't you?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah,
we
yeah,
got beat, and I was
yeah, yeah,
sub, and
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we lost. We won 12-10. We beat Saints 12-10 down lane.
yeah,
So yeah, I went in second row against Roy Eggety. Well, obviously Roy had a fearsome reputation or what have you. And like I say, I want a big lad. I mean, you see him today. The monsters, aren't there? Some of these young'uns and what have you. I were what? I bet I were not far over 13 stone. Yeah, so 13 and a half stone playing it second row against Roy Eggety. So, but I think, like I say, it's hard to. I don't think I let anybody down. I don't think I let anybody down. I think I did all right. So yeah, but it were right, boss.
yeah.
You know,
And
the
what
thought.
what were the older players like? Did they accept you in? Did they look after you?
Oh, they were brilliant. Yeah, brilliant. It were great, great atmosphere down there. So, yeah, they looked after me. When you've got Wardy, there's not a lot of people going to argue with him, is there?
Oh,
So
great play. What was he like as a bloke, Kevin?
yeah, nice guy, really nice guy. He's from Stanley, actually.
Right?
In fact, I think Cass picked him up from Stanley Rangers. I think
Right.
he started. I might be making this up, but I think he started quite
It would
late.
just be a good story anyway.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Be a good story. Yeah. So I think he started. He didn't go through. I don't think he went through junior rugby and what have you. I think he started as an adult. So, but yeah, he was so down to earth. He just,
Yeah.
yeah, I can picture him now talking. He was just comical. He looked like bloody some Biffa Bacon, is it?
Right, yeah, out at Bass
Yeah,
Street Kids, is it?
yeah. Yeah, but
Brilliant.
yeah, they looked after there were John Joyner and like Tony Marchant, like you say, Beardmores, Kevin Ward. The list goes on. Plan J. They were just they were great bunch to work with. Then whichever Australians were knocking about at the time, and I played with Bob Lindner and uh, French. Ian French,
Yeah.
Jamie Sandy, Brett Atkins.
Yeah, Jimmy Sandy he was. I always remember him being an elusive player. He was a great little halfback, wasn't he, Jamie?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that try he scored at Wembley were amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah, phenomenal.
Totally amazing.
Yeah. Did you get to Wembley?
I made me first. I did go to Wembley. Yeah, the club took us to Wembley. They took the A team,
Who
not
was in the A
not
team?
not not George Peppard. Uh,
Yeah. I love it when a plane comes together.
And Mr. T and all that. But yeah, they took the A team as the reserves, didn't it? You'll remember 18 days, won't you?
Yeah.
So yeah, they took the A team, put us in an hotel, and we went to match, and we went to like banquet afterwards. And
Was the drink involved, Danny?
Let's get him in.
I think I might have had one or two.
So go on. So Wembley. Wembley were at.
Yeah. It was a great occasion, but I mean there was a squad, and I actually I signed on in 86, early 86, and obviously the final in them days were in May.
Yeah. Usually around the 4th of May.
Yeah, I signed on, but I was playing regular A team rugby then, and I was playing well, you know, picking up man at match here and there and what have you. I got Colts player of the year as well. So I'm like in back of my mind, I'm thinking, I wonder if I'm going to be in I'm going to be in squad. And I wanted squad, but they were really good to us at club. Like I say, put us in a hotel, went to reception with first team afterwards. And
what position was you playing at Cass?
I was playing loose forward, sometimes second row, or even hooker.
Right.
At this point in my career, yeah, I was playing back row or hooker.
Yeah. And in first team, there were your positions as well.
That's me. Yeah, that's what they were positions in.
Because was it Kevin Beardmore was the hooker then?
Yeah. I did play one game.
Was Bob loose forward?
No, Bob was scrum half.
Scrum half.
Yeah.
Kev was hooker.
Yeah. I did play hooker for first team once. Quite a bit later. 88 maybe I'll go for. Played Widnes away. And I was hooking against it were Mackenzie.
Phil Mackenzie.
Yeah, I mean Phil Mackenzie. They had a right pack out. There were like Kurt Sorensen in front row, Mackenzie, and then there were
Mosi Caloto.
Mosi Caloto.
You have to say in a rare French voice. Mosi Caloto. 14 stones. Yeah. 12 boats.
They were for Milo as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. They had a they were like the Cup Kings then, weren't they? Really? Yeah, they were. This were in. I think this were at 7. I think this were 88. This when I played against Widnes. They had like Jonathan Davis were playing, Martin Fire were on wing. You know, then they had that pack and what have you. And we had a few injuries, hence me being in at hooker. I think we lost about 30 odd 16 or something like that. But I according to Yorkshire Evening Post, I got cast man at match, so that were I didn't get man at match, but I got our man at match.
Yeah.
So it were again it went all right.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So at Cass, who was the best player you think that you played with?
Kevin Ward was just fierce and money. He was just they called him the beast, didn't they?
Yeah.
And he were a beast. He were a formidable player. So for like brute strength and force and impact, you'd go for him. Kev and Bob Beardmore. I don't think Bob ever got. I mean, Kev was hooker he got GB hooker, didn't he?
Yeah.
But I'm not even thinking that Bob never played for Great Britain, but he was a good player. I don't think he got. I'm not sure if he got a cap or not. So there was some formidable players, like I say, Bob Lindner as well, Chris Jones. There was some great Australian, some good Australian players. Rambo Ronnie, the Rambo, Gibbs.
The
Gibbs, man,
Aussie, Ronnie Gibbs.
yeah, the Aussie. I mean, he were just.
He came from Manly. Is that right?
Yeah, he did come from Burnley. Yeah, I mean, again, he wasn't the biggest forward, but he had a heart as big as a building. Honestly, he would put his body, literally, put his body on the line. He had no. He didn't have a fearful bone in his body. He just, I mean, I've seen him knocked out a few times. He knocked himself out tackling players. He just used to commit. He was like an Exocet missile, flew in and absolutely mullered him. But sometimes, didn't come. It didn't go right for him.
So, what about player that you played against then? Who was one of the hardest players that you've played against?
Well, I played against Wigan away, so I played 17 first team games, and I didn't have like a long illustrious first team career. I played 17 games for Cass over about 5 years. I think I was there. Ellery Hanley.
Well,
yeah, I mean, I would say he was probably the best player I played against. Ellery Hanley. He was strong, so strong, fast, elusive, skills. He had everything. He ticked every box. But yeah, I played there, and they had. I mean, it was their dream team. I think maybe at this point. Some of the time I've played against Wigan 3 times at 3 different at the 3 clubs. I played against Wigan first team with Cass. I played against Wigan with Doncaster when we got promoted to first division. We got promoted that year.
Yeah.
It's just before I got in fire service. That I quit halfway through the season, but I played against Wigan there, and then I played against Wigan with Bramley. When I played at Bramley, we drew them in Challenge Cup. Yeah, so I played Wigan at Wigan there, and sometimes the teams kind of get morphed into each other, But yeah, So but I think back in whatever 88 or whatever it was, they were Hanley was probably, I would say, the best player I'd played against. Sean Edwards, Andy Gregory, Andy Platt, Kevin Iro, Tony Iro. He was just Joe
a plethora of great players, wasn't
it? Just amazing. Yeah, he was like a dream team.
Yeah. They had plenty. Well, they had plenty now, and they've got a good side now. They've got a great coach in Matty Pete.
Yeah,
and they've got a good, strong, challenge squad. But in the 80s, Wigan were just like you said, they were phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah, at 90s as well. Coming into 90s, weren't they were unbeaten. They ruled the roost for how many?
It was a good decade. It was like the Maurice Lindsay years, wasn't it?
Really? Yeah. That's it.
They kind of stole the show, really, and
they set the standard, didn't they? I mean, they did go professional before. I think they went professional before every other club, didn't they?
Yeah.
And they set the benchmark, didn't they? So yeah, they were the sort of trailblazers.
Trailblazers, yeah. So 17 games for Cass, which you alluded to just. So what brought about the change from Cass? Was there a rift? Was there something up? Was it just one of them times? Was it that you was sacrificed for another player coming in for the salary cap? What went on?
When Malcolm was first team coach, Dave Sampson was second team coach. So I was playing the bulk of me rugby in the 18 second team. You have like man at match points, 3 for man at match, 2 for second, and 1 for third. And I think in my I wrote it down somewhere. I think 86, 87. I think I got second player that year, and I was just really starting out, And then in 87, 88, I got player that year. for 18. And Malcolm had left then. Dave Sampson, who were 18 coach, started his first team. He was first team coach. So the bulk of my game, my caps for first team were under Dave Sampson because Dave knew me.
Yeah.
And knew he could rely on me, and you know, I won't shirk, and I'd do him a job. So I played the bulk of my first team fixtures and that. So I think he just had one season maybe. And then Darryl van der Velde come in. And with it, kind of new brush sweeps clean, you know, and he introduced a level of professionalism to the club, which was like on a par with Wigan. You know, he wanted to get us to where we, you know, get us full-time professionals and this and that. And so he shook it up and changed it up a bit, and I was still the same. I worked hard, as in trained. I trained really hard and played hard, but then afterwards,
I played hard off the pitch.
I played hard, and it didn't go down. And there was this. We went on an end of season trip to Magaluf, and I think it was Darryl's first season in charge. Went on an end of season trip, and we flew out and we bought a bottle of whiskey in the duty free and drunk it on the plane over to Mallorca. And me and Kenny Hill, a lad called Kenny Hill at the time, who was a super talented player, a little bit younger than me, super talented player, played for Great Britain under 21s. He had the world at his feet. He really did. But he had a dark side to him as well. Unfortunately, he had a few problems, did Kenny. And anyway, so we drank this whiskey on the plane on the way out. So we get to Mallorca airport, bearing in mind we're all in Castleford tracksuits, and me and Kenny blathered.
Feeling the effects of the whiskey.
Blathered. So I'm stood waiting to get my case off the conveyor belt, and I'm stood probably wobbling a little bit, waiting for my case to come round. Next thing, I feel this smack into my back. Oof! Kenny Hill comes in, hits me right in the middle of the back, tackles me onto conveyor belt. So
you're on the carousel.
On the carousel, yeah. So we're wrestling, going round in front of loads of members of public, wrestling, and we're just
in your cast tracksuits.
In his cast tracksuits, and we're just about to disappear under the flaps into the back. Tony Marchant pulls us both off, drags us off, and he's going, "Get in, you," and give us a talking to and what have you. And so we get us on bus, and me and Kenny were thick as thieves in them days, and we were going to room together, but we got told in no uncertain terms that we won't. So I think they put me in with Dean Sampson, and they put him in with Sean Irwin,
right,
to split us up, because we were
to control you.
Yeah, we weren't good for each other. So
like two chemicals that should be mixed.
Yeah. So I mean, that's another holiday. There's a lot of tales I can't tell you about Magaluf. It were a brilliant time. We were there in the same hotel the Leeds were in.
Right.
Leeds were in, and Featherstone were also on holiday in Magaluf as well. So there were like 3 rugby league professional semi-pro rugby teams, rugby teams in Magaluf at the same time. So we used to knock about with Leeds more than Fed. We used to go drinking. We were all good mates and what have you.
Right.
And we were, yeah, you know, say stopping together. So there was a lot of beer and of
Camaraderie.
yeah, a lot of camaraderie. It were a great laugh. It were brilliant. But I think the episode with the whiskey and the carousel was probably the end of my proper days at Castleford, and of me having any serious chance at Bramley.
Right.
So I went on.
Just before you tell me that, then, so the trip to Magaluf was an
Yeah,
end of season do. It wasn't, so there was no training involved.
no,
It was literally
was
a jolly and a
yeah,
blow off steam after the
yeah,
season.
yes, it was, yeah,
So I mean,
yeah,
all right, you started a bit early, but
yeah. That
you blew off steam.
yeah, but it wasn't good. I get that now. You know, at the time, you know, thinking, yeah,
Yeah.
mind you get what's my, you know what I mean? We're just having a good time, you know. But looking back now, well, not even now, you know, not a few years after when I'd grown up a bit,
Hmm.
I can see, you know, it don't look good, great on club, does it? When you with tracksuits on and real, you know, proper
Wrestling on a carousel going round.
wrestling on a carousel.
People looking for the bags, and you two were
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
like a pair of tomcats.
Yeah. So that's won Challenge Cup, and Halifax won the league the same year, and we played. I think they went through a spell. They was playing Isle of Man and this, that, and other. Well, they played this particular year. They played in France, but we played Halifax over there. So we travelled over there and we played Halifax over in France, and we won and what have you. But we used to knock them out together. I mean, it were a it were a bit of a jolly as well. You know, we had a good drink. We socialised together. Great lads, some great lads were Halifax lads. Had a bit of a jolly, and this one day we were all drinking in this pub. And the game had been played on the Saturday, and we were all drinking, and Ben Beavers, Scott Wilson, who played on wing for Halifax. Ben Beavers a winning pack. He had some money, did Scott, and I think it fell out of his pocket. So Ben picked it up, and Scott were then, I'll get around it and what have you, and he's going, oh man, I've lost my money. I don't know what I've done with my money, and he was drunk as well. I don't know what I've done with my money. Oh God, I'm all and said. Ben Beaver says, "Never mind, we'll have a whip round for you." And everybody were in on it because he'd been off looking for his money, and he'd told everybody, and he'd handed his money out to everybody. So we had a collection for him, and everybody, this collection, we collected the same amount
As he
of
lost.
money that he lost, all same denominations and bills and what have you. And he was so like, oh lads, oh it's brilliant, you know, even my team, some of you, even my, oh it's amazing, what have you. And he got like a couple of beers in it and spent all his money repaying this thing, what he just, it was bonkers. Oh,
So he felt indebted to you all, but it
yeah,
actually was his door.
it was his dough. Yeah. So he spent his dough, yeah, rewarding us for giving him his money back.
And to this day, does he not? Does he know now?
I
If he
don't
doesn't,
know.
he does now.
Yeah. I've no idea if anybody told him. Yeah, they didn't whilst we were there. Yeah,
Everyone just played along with it.
yeah. Yeah. So I went on loan to Bramley. I did sign with Bramley, but not at this time. Signed a bit later with Bramley, but I went on loan because at this. So when Dave Sampson moved up to first team coach, John Keir were playing it second team. I remember John playing it first team when I were actually watching Cass. John Keir were playing it second team, and he was second team. He was player coach. So he left Cass So he coached me in 18 when Dave moved up and I won
Right.
first team. I was with John. So he got a job at Bramley, him and Barry Johnson as well. They got a job at Bramley, both as like joint sort of coach. So they took me to Bramley. Darryl wanted Shutter me, I think, and they wanted me to go to Bramley. So I went to Bramley on loan for, I don't know, I can't remember how long, a few months. That were in, well, that my love trip were in 89, so this were 89, 90 or whatever, some time. Yeah, so I went on loan and played at Bramley. Yeah, I think Keith, a lad called Keith Jones, who used to play at Cass as well. He came, he went as well, not because he'd been necking a bottle of whiskey on playing, but because I think he didn't figure in his plans as well. But I would.
And I think we have to remember, Danny, that like you say, they weren't paying you to be a full time. I know you as a professional, and there's a certain way
Responsibility,
about
yeah.
that and responsibilities. Yeah, but like you say, you were a working man. That was your main job, and really then rugby league was like a paid hobby, I
Yeah,
suppose,
yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
it? And times were different. Players did drink. It was a drinking culture.
It was. Most
It was a
definitely.
culture.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I listen to some older guys. We have a reunion every year, players' reunion. And for everybody across the ages in October. And some of the stories from the older, from the guys in the 60s and 70s, they'd pick some of the players up from the club. And a couple of them liked a couple of beers before they went to play. So, yeah, yeah,
Diluted down slowly.
it's evolved, hasn't it? The
Yeah,
game
it
has
is.
evolved, and now they're professional sportsmen,
Yeah, yeah.
and they
Professional
behave,
athletes, aren't they?
yeah,
Yeah.
professional athletes, and they behave and train accordingly. But like I say, I was fit. I used to train really hard. I was really fit, even though I wasn't fast. I didn't have the. I was kind of caught in no man's land. Me, I wasn't fast enough for a back, and I wasn't big enough for a forward. Do you know what I mean? By this time, I'm like 13 and a half stone, 40, 13 and a half, 14 stone. Like, just, yeah, under 14 stone. It's not a big guy for a forward, especially when like I say, I wasn't gifted with pace, but I did have, I was really fit. I mean, like I did when we used to do bleep test. There were only one lad who beat me on bleep test. I got up to like 16-2 on bleep test. I don't know if you've ever
Yeah,
done.
yeah. We
Yeah.
thought, yeah.
Yeah, so I was 16-2, and there were a lad
That's
called
really good.
Paul Whitehead who got 16-4.
Right.
And so I were fit, and I wasn't very injury prone. I were quite hard, quite sturdy,
Yeah.
and I wasn't injured very often. 9 times out of 10, I won't tackle count, and I'd always run ball. I'd run into a brick wall, and do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I did work hard,
Yeah.
but
Grafter.
yeah, grafter. Yeah,
So you're on loan to Bramley, and then did
yeah.
Doncaster come in for you?
No, no. Then I went back to Cass, and it's a bit. I think my first team game for Cass was in 1989. I played against Bradford Northern. Can't remember much. We won again, and that was my first team game for Cass. So, and I think I was just playing A team and not getting a shout, But I enjoyed playing rugby, and I enjoyed playing with A team. There was some good, we had a good A team. We've always had a good A team. Or we did have, when the A teams were about. I enjoy playing with lads and what have you. And so I studied for a bit of time, maybe, I don't know, maybe a year, 18 months maybe. And then in 89, I left my job at Copperworks and I got a job at Normanton at like this place called Cambermore, which were like been bought out by Coca-Cola Schweppes as a refurbishing technician. So refurbishing coolers and what have you, for soft drinks and carbonators for pubs and what have you, refurbishing that. And then that didn't last that long. And then they were getting made redundant. And so I ended up as a service engineer. So doing the same thing, repairing soft drink systems, in pubs and what have you, out and about with a company car. And then I got these were like, and then I got getting made redundant from that. And I'm like, oh, God. And at the same time, I were at Cass, but not getting any first team chance at all then. And anyway, I got the job. I worked for Coca-Cola Schweppes as a field service engineer, and then I got offered a job at there's a big factory, a big Coke factory at Junction 41 at Wakefield. So I got offered a job there, and it were really good money, really good money at the time. And I mean, this is like 1991, like 20 grand a year, which were a lot of money. Probably equivalent to 50 grand a year or something today. And I thought, but they wouldn't let me play professional rugby. So I weighed up my options and I thought, do you know what? I don't owe anything to Cass or to Daryl van der Velde. I'm just going to look after myself and I'm going to take this job. So I took a job at Coca-Cola Schweppes on decent money. Did it for about maybe 18 months. And I'd packed in rugby. So, yeah. And then I was missing rugby.
Missing that physical contact and the camaraderie and the big room. And
so then I'm missing rugby, and I think, right, do you know what? I'm going to regret this. I'm trying to think how old I was at the time. Maybe about 25, something like that.
Right.
25, 26. And thinking I'm going to regret this when I get older. So I packed my job in it. I got another job at for Asda at their meat packing plant, which were over the road to Coca-Cola Schweppes, actually. But about half that money. But it meant I could play rugby again. So and they had overtime and I could play rugby and get paid. So the gym I used to go to were Alan Hardis's gym in Cass. And I used to do quite a few rugby lads went in there. And there were some lads who played at Doncaster. I think it were Tony Miller, lad called Tony Miller, and Richard Powell. And I said, "Oh, I'm going to start another job now and get." And he says, "Why do you fancy coming down to Donny?" He says, "Jeff Morris is there. I'm sure he'd have you." And I went, "Yeah." So I changed my job and started playing with Donny.
right.
So that's how, and that were, I don't know, maybe.
So what division were Doncaster in then?
They were in. It was the old
So
system.
you got promoted with them then to the first.
Yeah, did. So
it was like first division, second division, then, wasn't it?
Yeah, first, second. So Donny were in second, and like Cass were in first with Wigan and all that. Like we called first division. So yeah, so we're in second division. So I got with them, played a year with Jeff Morris as coach, and it was good set of lads and what have you. And I was enjoying my rugby, and then Jeff got sacked, and Tony Fisher come in, and he come in with a lot of ambition, and he kept magicking money out of John Desmond, who owns the club, and kept getting money out of him, and we ended up, I think we finished second in the league, but the top two got promoted. I think Workington came top, and we played Batley away, and we needed. And Batley have always been a difficult team to beat, especially at Batley. And it were a dust bowl. It were baked solid and what have you. And we played against them with Slope and all that lot, and there were a massive crowd. There were loads of people, because it were whoever won got promoted. If
The equivalent of the £1 million game, really,
yeah,
wasn't it?
it was, but it were Batley at Batley, and not many times go to Batley and beat them, and we did. We beat them 8-6, and there were about, I'm thinking there's maybe about 5,000-6,000 crowd there. It were a massive crowd. There were people coming from far and wide to watch this. I was subbing that game. I think I was subbing. Yeah, and then we got promoted. So then we ended up in the first division, which is now the Super League.
Yeah.
So I played half a season. So at this point now, I'm now working for a company called PDC, who sponsored who sponsored Doncaster, and John Desmond, Doncaster's chairman, owns PDC. So I've got a job with PDC, and I'm working in their repair shop, repairing the whacker plate. They were like a construction company,
Right.
doing utilities, laying cables and all that kind of stuff. So I'm like repairing whacker plates and various things, chainsaws and still saws and all that kind of stuff. So I'm working there, and I fancied going in fire service. So I'd applied to fire service.
What was the attraction there, Danny?
One of my mates, Cleo, Steve Clayton, he'd got in fire service. He was from Hull, actually. He got in fire service, and he was telling me about it, and I thought, oh, do you know what? That sounds good, does that? I really like the sound of that. I want to do that. So that, just through talking to him, because I'd never had an urge to go in fire service, but just through talking to him, it sounded really good. So I thought, oh, I quite fancy giving that a go. So the first test, it says, our brigade, because he's in Humberside Brigade. So he says, our brigade are recruiting. And to be fair, I live at Cass. So if I got a job at Goole, it's like 20 minutes up motorway. So I thought, well, I'll give it a go. Well, I've been on Tony Miller played for Doncaster. I've been on his stag do.
Let's get him.
The weekend, and I got back on the Monday, and my tests were on the Tuesday, the physical tests. So I come back from a weekend in Amsterdam with all Doncaster lads, absolutely rinsed. I went to the tests, and my mate thought I'd walk it, because, do you know what I mean, with that? And I turned up and I were absolutely hanging. And they started off with a bleep test, and now, well, I don't even think they do it nowadays, but at that point, they didn't stop you. You'd run and go to whatever level you could, and you got better thought of if you pushed yourself. So, like I say, I was hanging a bit.
But bearing in mind, you've told us you've done 16.4.
Yeah. I got to like just over 14, which is good, still good.
Still good, yeah.
Yeah, it's still good. But
I think I was going to get to about 12 or something like that. I don't think I got past 12.
Yeah, I burnt missing out though, and I had to do hose running next, and I was absolutely hanging out my ass. And so I didn't run enough hoses out, lengths of hose out. I would just, So I went home and he rang me thinking I won't answer. I think this is before the days of mobiles. And he rang me at home and I answered the phone. He went, "What are you doing home?" And I went, "Oh," told him. And he went, "Oh my God." So I failed that anyway, but I went to the second one. He says they're doing another one, not same intake, maybe 6 months down the line.
Yeah.
So I went to that and that went really well. And I went through all physical tests and like
He was
mechanical
clean for that one.
mechanic. I was all right. I was clean, yeah. Mechanical comprehension test, rebuilding a pump. Obviously I were a maintenance
Engineer,
engineer
yeah.
anyway, so that kind you had to rebuild a pump. There were a diagram of a pump, and you had to do that. So I passed all that, and I got to interview, and they said, "Oh, what's right? So you live in Castleford, Mr. Thornton?" I says, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." What are you going to do if we get stationed you at Bridlington because it's Humberside thing? I says, I'll move house. I'll relocate." I went, "Oh, okay." Well, yeah, whatever. So that I'm thinking I'll blag it, and they're thinking he's blagging it. Yeah.
Stick him at
So
Bridlington.
yeah, yeah. And they said, "Oh, and you're a professional rugby player." And I said, "Oh yeah, I play for Doncaster." Yeah, and said, what how's that going to fit into fire service?" And I went, "I'll pack in." And they went, "Oh, okay, fair enough." Yeah, whatever. They did. So I come away, went really well, the interview, to be fair, other than that. And then they said, I got a letter saying, "You've passed the interview. However, there were 20 people on course. You're one of the reserves." And I phoned the personnel department up and says, "What's all this about?" They said, "Oh, there's two of you reserves." Says, "So if anybody don't, because they go for a medical then." So if anybody fails a medical, then you'll be up and in. And I went, "All right, okay." She says, "Don't worry, people fail the medicals. It happens." Right, okay. So I got this letter saying I haven't been successful. So I phoned personnel up again. I said, "I thought he said everybody passed." I went, "Right, what does that mean? Does that mean I'm on next course?" And she went, "Oh no, you'll have to do it all again." And I'm like, "Oh God, it were a right process. It were 2 days. It were brutal as well. It were hard. It wasn't an hard test and written as well, and all mechanical comprehension and ladders and confined space going through. And I'm like, oh God, I don't know if I can be asked with going through all that again. Anyway, I went to West York. West Yorkshire were recruiting. I thought, right, I'll go in with them. So I passed everything with them, all the things, and they said, "We'll let you know when the interview, when you're up for an interview." And I went, "Right, fair enough." He says, "We've got a bit of, this, we're sort of storing you. It might come in, the place might come in, 6 months time or whatever. We've got a few people on sort of on hold now." Right, fair enough. Anyway, the Humberside started recruiting again. So I thought, right, I'll go again last time. So I went, passed everything again, got to interview. There were two interview panel were the same. And said, "Oh, Mr. Thornton." Yeah. And they said, "Oh, rugby player, huh?" Yeah. And I went, "I was." And they went, "What do you mean you were?" And I says, "I've packed it in." "You've packed it in?" "Yeah, as soon as I heard that I'd got through to as soon as that I got through to tests, I've packed it in." "Oh, right. Oh, okay." And interview went well and I got in. So yeah, it would just
Tenacity got you there.
yeah. They said, "Mr. Thornton, oh, you're back again." And I actually said, "And I'll keep coming back until you give me a job." That's
Yeah.
what. So yeah, I said, and then rugby player. No, I packed it. What happened I were at Doncaster when we were in first division, and I just said I didn't pack in with tests. I, I carried on playing, but as soon as I got to interview stage, I got my thing. I said, "Right, I can't play now. This from now onwards, if I get, I can't do this weekend because I've got an interview, and I don't want to get injured and what have you, muck it up. And going forward after that, if I get in, I won't be playing. I'll be, so. Yeah, I can't remember who my last game was. I played Warrington away. I played quite a few games that year. I didn't play against Cass. Played against Wigan. And that were like, so another, you're about who's the best player who you played against. Maybe not best, but when I played with Donny and we played Wigan at Donny, Scott Quinnell had just signed from
Got forward, lost lad.
from rugby union. Scott Quinnell. So I played against Scott Quinnell, and he was a big lad, a real big lad, and
Massive shoulders on him, didn't he, Scott?
yeah, he was huge. And so we played at Donny, and it was his first game, and he come on field, and honestly, we knocked lumps out of him, and he went off like bang, smashed. His nose were all blooded and what have you, and I mean, it was like, welcome to rugby league and all this. Like his first game, and he was so out of shape. He just wasn't fit enough. He wasn't fit enough to play rugby league. He wasn't fit enough. He were carrying a bit. He were overweight for a rugby league player. He wasn't fit enough, and he didn't really know what he was doing, and he had a target on his back.
Baptism of fire for him.
Yeah, he proper got I won't say they carried him. They assisted him off, walking off at one point with blood all over his face and all that sort of thing. And yeah, welcome to rugby league. So I played against him then, and then I played against him in Challenge Cup with Bramley. When I went back to Bramley, I didn't come on to this yet.
Yeah.
But when I went back and signed for Bramley, and we drew him in Challenge Cup, and we're playing him at Wigan, and Scott Quinnell come on. What a player! What a player! He
got fit.
He dropped. He was really fit. He dropped a couple of stone. He was solid. I remember lining him up. I'm like, right, I'm gonna not get. He would come running, what have you? He was out wide. I'm lining him up. And he just. It was like one of them cartoons off, where somebody runs over somebody. Like Scott Quinnell just boom, 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 and I'm like laid out with footprints on me. Oh man, it were unbelievable. What a difference! Yeah, he was awesome when
they'd got him right then, had they?
Yeah, certainly did. Yeah,
he didn't set you welcome to rugby league as he ran over you, did it?
Yeah.
And was you not expecting him to be that in shape and that?
Well, I don't know. Because I was playing rugby. This were at Bramley, so I was playing rugby, but I wasn't watching Cass, and I didn't really watch Super League or whatever.
And Bramley was second division then, weren't they?
Yeah, Bramley were. Yeah, I think we were in second string. We weren't in third. We were in second. Yeah, second division. I'm trying to think if it wasn't Super League then, was it?
No. They still had like the Premiership trophy.
Yeah.
But I think it was still like first division, second division, third division, I think.
Yeah. This were 90.
Could be wrong. Our viewers will put it in the comments.
Yeah.
what the tier systems were then. But it wasn't Super League, no.
No, this were 96, this.
Yeah.
So I got in. I started fire service in May 95, and I were on 3-month residential course.
Yeah.
So passed out in August, and then I got my feet on the table on watch, and I signed with Bramley because there were a few players in. I mean, these gaffers and what have you, the people who were interviewing me were on about, well, you can't do this, you can't do it. Des Harrison played, and Chris Harrison Des Harrison were in fire service. Chris Harrison were in fire service.
Yes, I see, yeah.
Mick Colt were in fire service. You know, there were probably 3 or 4 professional players who Zook played.
Right, was it Cameron in fire service?
Zook were in Humberside Fire and Rescue Service. So there were 4 guys who I knew, 4 guys who played professional rugby who worked for Humberside Fire and Rescue. So once I got through my residential course, because it were a 3-month residential course doing initial training,
Right.
and got on to watch at Goole. I got stationed at Goole, which was 20 minutes up road from me. So, brilliant. Once I got there, I thought, I'm going to start playing it. And I bumped into somebody and I got talking to them and said, oh, a rugby player. And they went, oh, I'm at Bramley. Ray Ashton was coach at Bramley. And I says, oh, I quite fancy a game now, actually. I'm on station and this. Oh, right, I'll tell. So that's how that came about. And they had a word with Ray Ashton and said, do you fancy Danny Thornton coming down? He went, oh, yeah. So I went down there and I signed a contract with them and played 1 season with them. And I think that was the first season of summer rugby, that
Right.
96. So I played that, and I just lost my appetite for it after that. It was hard, with job in that direction in Goal, over towards Hull, and then Bramley, wrong side of Leeds, getting round there and training and this, that, and other. So I did it for 1 year. I mean, I enjoyed it. Some good lads, quite a few lads who Dean Blankley, a lad from Castleford, were hooker there, great hooker. Quite a few lads from Castle I knew. A lot of lads who are from Normanton again who I knew. Good. We had an okay team. We kind of held us own, and I did that. And then, but I just thought, I've had it. I've had it with rugby, with pro rugby anyway.
Yeah. You hung your boots up then, did you?
Well, I did. I hung my boots up, but then a lad who I used to work with at Copperworks played rugby union for Castleford Rugby Union. And he says, do you want to come down and play rugby union now? It's just that road for you. And I'm like, oh, I can't be arsed. I really can't. And he's going, oh, come down. You can just... He was captain at second team down at Castle. Just come and play at second team for me. Just, you'll know.
Turn out.
You'll know. Just turn out. Be enjoyable. No pressure. This and that. So I went down and it was good actually. I quite enjoyed it. They played me flanker. Played me in centre of it, even though I'm not that quick. But
It was for rugby union from rugby league.
Yeah, inside centre or flanker. And it was good. There were quite a few ex-league lads. A lad called Steve Britton who used to play for Hunslet. Phil Cartwright used to play for Rochdale. A lad who played for Widnes, who was a Challenge Cup winner, righty on wing.
Stuart Wright.
Yeah, Stuart Wright played on wing. Darren Wright played. I think he might actually played on wing, but he played about the same time as that. Andy, is it Courier?
Yeah, Andy Courier. Yeah.
Andy Courier. Yeah, I think they played in centres together, maybe as well. Actually, but Stuart Wright is a bit older. Is Stuart Wright? Yeah. So it was like I played rugby union with them, but the mentality of the lads, most of the lads down there have played league, and we played it different. And for the team, for the second team. So I went down there. I played a couple of years with them. We were unbeaten this year. We went through season completely unbeaten. In fact, I loved playing for the second team, but I got dragged into the first team for a few fixtures. But what we used to say was, a second team would have actually probably beat us first team. Do you know what I mean? But we were happy playing
because the crack.
Because we had the crack. and playing for the second team.
I get that.
I
Yeah.
mean, the first team, they were a bit more technical than us, so they probably rucked and mauled us off ball, but we'd have knocked lumps out of them.
Yeah. Yeah. You'd have
So,
died for each other
yeah.
on that mid-in.
Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. I did 2 years down there. So what age am I now? Probably 30, 31, something like that. So I had 2 years doing that, and then Cutsike, where I live at Whitwood, which is near to Cutsike. Cutsike reformed, restarted, and a couple of lads who I played at Doncaster with, who told me to go down Doncaster, Pelly and Tony Miller, Richard Pell, Tony Miller. He were going to coach it and what have you. So this is and these were lads who I knocked about with,
Right.
socialised with. So I thought, do you know what? I'm going to go down. So I went to play amateur rugby league at something like 32, I think I was. Yeah, I think I was 32 when I went to start playing amateur rugby league. I must want my head tested. So, playing bloody Fryston and Queens and all that lot, and yeah, some right. But I think I had 3 seasons down there. Might have even been 3 or 4 seasons. So I played up to about 36. And it was great. And we had a really good team. We had quite a few ex-pros and what have you. We got to Yorkshire Cup final and, we were punching well above his weight. But yeah, it was good.
You carried on in the fire service. How many years did you do in the fire service?
27.
27 years. Wow, that is a shift. Thank you for your service, Danny.
Oh,
That is a shift
yeah.
that you put in. Good mate of mine, ex now rugby league player, Lou McCarthy Scarsbrook. He's just joined the fire service. He is. He's a London boy. Yeah. All right, Sam.
Yeah,
So he says,
well.
all right, Sam. Yeah. So he's loving life in the fire service. I bet
Is he?
you
Yeah,
were
is he
there.
enjoying it?
Yeah, still like that camaraderie, because
Yeah.
obviously coming from a team sport, and it's hard to get across if people haven't played a team sport. That camaraderie, that crack, it's a brutal, dark humour sometimes, but
Yeah.
when it's not there, you miss that, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, I had 27 years and I had some great times. I had some brilliant times. And do I miss the job? No, not particularly. Because I love doing my acting and it gives me, I've got all the time to do my acting now. But do I miss the guys and the time? We had some amazing times. I had some amazing times in fire service. And again, like you say, camaraderie and crack and sometimes dark humour. You see some awful things and you've got to make light of it to kind of it's your coping mechanism. It's
Yeah. I had a friend in the police. And he said that cop humor was always quite dark and brutal, but that's the way that they dealt with it. That's the
yeah,
way they sort of like compartmentalized everything, and because if you realized what it was you were dealing with on a day-to-day basis, it could really affect you. I bet you've seen some right sites, haven't you?
yeah, yeah. So awful. I won't even talk about them. It's not nice. There's some, but I am fortunate because I can compartmentalize.
Right.
I don't have no problem coming up. That's work. I come away and it's a completely different thing, and I can do that. But there's some guys who I work with who couldn't do that, and it's really hard. It's really hard when seeing what you see. Yeah.
Obviously, fire brigade, but now you established out there in the acting world. How did that come about?
Oh, right. So I think it was 2002. I'm a good mate with a lad called Terry Richardson. I don't know if you remember him. He played at Cass.
Yeah.
He played on wing for Cass.
Right.
He scored over 100 tries for Cass. And when I used to go watch them a a teenager,
Was a youth.
as a youth, he were flying winger with Terry Richardson, and he got over 100 tries. So anyway, our good mate of Terry's. He'd finished playing by the time I went down, but he were a friend of my brother's, and I used to knock about with him, but and one of his friends, I went in fire service, so I was working 4 days on, 4 days off. And one of Terry's friends, he was telling us about it. He says, "Oh, Moe," he were an Asian lad, Moe. He said, "Moe's in clocking off tonight." I went, "Oh, is it? Yeah, yeah. He plays a waiter and what have you." And he had a line in it, and I watched it, and at the time, because when I had two young daughters. So once my youngest daughter, so my Maisie was born in '97. So when she got to school age, I could do up till then. I was looking after kids on days, my days off, or looking
Yeah.
after kids, and then when I were at work, they'd go to my mum and dad's, and they'd look after. Yeah, so I've got my two daughters, Katie and Maisie. So Katie's 30, 33, 33, and Maisie's 27. And then I've got my two stepkids. Got my stepdaughter Rosie, who lives in Australia.
Right.
Who we went to see early last year.
Right.
And then we saw her again in Bali. Went to Bali and met her in Bali.
Oh,
And
fantastic.
then I've got Mac, who's at Manchester Uni. He's doing sports business management, and he's on an internship with Man City at the moment.
Oh,
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah. Puma sponsor Man City, and
Oh,
he's working as understudy to the guy who handles their account. So he's moving in the meets with Pep and
wow.
Grealish and all that lot. He's, in fact, at the moment, he's just in Paris. He's flown out there on Man City's private jet with his girlfriend to go watch him in Paris play Paris Saint-Germain.
Wow.
So
Living the
John's
life.
go is yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and then so Katie's 33. She's lives in Sherburn. She's been travelling with her husband for 18 months. His dad passed away a couple of years ago and left them a bit of money, and they said they didn't want to spend it on a house, so they went travelling for 18 months. Yeah, and I met him because I'm retired, so I met him on the travels. I went to Morocco, met him, and I went to Montenegro and met him. I went to Albania and Czech Republic as well. So I met him on my travels because my Tammy's still working. So
Right.
so I'm like, I've got.
What does Tammy do?
She works for Puma.
All right.
Yeah, yeah.
Sports brand.
So yeah, she works for Puma. So
Right.
she's like,
She couldn't get us a pair of trainers, could she?
so to earn a bit of extra money, I'm thinking, right, what can I do on my days off? Right, I could, people were like labouring on, sites and what have you. Can I do something with me trade maybe, with me mechanicking thing, mechanical engineer, or do I bloody wash windows or this, that, and other? Anyway, Terry told me about mowing being on this clock, and he said, "Oh, is it extra?" And I'm like, and I've always been into my movies. I love film and TV.
Yeah.
And a buff, I were a movie buff. I used to, when I were in my teens, I used to have a book, and I used to write down every film what I saw,
Right.
title of it, the first 4 stars of it, and then give it a star rating. And I used to have it in a loose leaf binder, a bit of an anorak.
You should have invented letterboxed, mate, because that's what that does, isn't it?
Yeah. So I used to rate all my films what I'd seen. I were into old films as well, old Jimmy Cagney films and
Mm.
Cary Grant films, all sorts of stuff. I were a bit odd. There's a section of me.
Not
There's
odd, mate. It's not odd.
there's a section of me rugby what I ain't actually touched on, which is quite amusing. I might come on to it a bit. It depends how long you want me to talk for. But so I'm movie buff, really into movies. And when he said this about, I thought, extra film, like, yeah, that's what I'll do. On my days off, I'm gonna start doing some extra stuff, doing a bit of acting. So that were right, I'll do that. Get me his agent, his extra. So he got me his agent. I wrote to them, their books were closed. I had another contact, saw somebody else who knew somebody at ITV. I tried them. They want that came to know. So I was like, this were over a spell of a few months, and then I saw something online and it said, do you want to be a TV extra? Send £5 here and we'll send you the book about it and what have you. So I sent £5 and it come back and it had all addresses of agents and what have you and what to do. I mean, most of it were common sense anyway, but it were the contact details of the agents anyway. I were a lot bigger then. I mean, but bearing in mind at this time now, when I said out at Castleford, I was like 13 and a half stone or whatever. By the time I was at Doncaster when we were in Sutton Bramley, I was like 14 and a half, 15 stone. And I were in real good shape as well. So I were packing it a little bit then. I still look like I am now, a bit younger, but I were shaved head because I started losing my hair about 28 or something when I went fire service, so I got it off. So I looked like a meathead.
Right.
I looked like a meathead. So I got all this bump and wrote these letters to loads of agents. I tried to get a couple of agents, didn't get an agent. Got this booklet and thought, right, I'll start writing to these. Anyway, at the same time, my ex-mother-in-law said, "Do you fancy being in a?" She did amateur theatre, like sketches, comedy sketches. Like, do you fancy doing that? And I went, yeah. So right, okay, I'll do. So I signed up, did a sketch in this thing, and then wrote off these letters to these agents saying, I've not done any TV, but I've been doing amateur theatre for 3 years, which were a lot of bollocks. I just done first one. But I wrote
Fake it till you make it, Danny.
yeah. So I wrote these about half a dozen letters off, half a dozen letters, and I got my mate to take a photo of me, and I wore this tight t-shirt, and I think I'd done
Cross your arms and push your
done
biceps out.
done a few press ups, and I'd done a few press ups as well, and I looked. And I wrote it off anyway. This agent in Manchester, it were called Ninjas. It were an extras agency, but they're part of Boss Modelling Agency.
Oh.
And I think they're called Real People now or something like that. Or they're just called Boss, maybe even.
Yeah, there's Boss Casting.
Yeah.
But there is one called The Real People, I think.
Yeah. So anyway, so they wrote back to me and said, we like the look of you. We think we could get you a lot of work. Come in and see us. So that were on the Monday. So I went to see him on the Monday. On the Friday, I had a casting for I think it was for cutting it or something like that. On the Saturday, I was actually booked for a job without a casting, booked for it on my luck. And it were the Second Coming with Christopher Eccleston, Second Coming of Christ.
Mhm.
So I went for casting on Friday. I turned up for my job on Saturday, and it were at university in Salford, in bar, filming it bar or a pub scene. and I want to. So I turns up and I'm thinking, oh God, what's this going to be? Probably going to see me arm, you know what I mean? And this, that, and other. And they're like, I were a doorman. That's what I were, a doorman. So I turns up and there's loads of people stood in car park and it's raining. They're all getting wet through and there's some one of the runners is going, look, just you calm down, just wait a minute, we'll get you somewhere. And I went up to this lad, she says, what's your name? And I went, oh, Danny Thornton. And she went, oh, one of us bouncers. Oh, get yourself on that bus over there. Go get something to eat. And this, that, and I thought, oh, this is all right. What's so I went over, got myself a full breakfast, not have you? Got into costume, wardrobe, got all gear on. Took us over to the venue. There were two of us, two bouncers, and stunt coordinator comes up to us and says, right, yeah, to bouncers, right, what's going to happen? There's going to be a scuffle break out at bar. I want you in, you, as in me, I want you in hard and fast. You get him under control, maybe get him in an half Nelson or something, this and over, and escort him out. There's no dialogue, but feel free to him, feel free to improvise. And I'm thinking, holy shit, what have I let myself in? what the dialogue and all that, I'm thinking, I wasn't expecting, that. But I've been in that situation many times, so I know how it goes and I know what to say, and I'm like, so I'm going, you're going out, what have you? And people are milling around and I'm going, back off, and took him out, what have you, and I'm like, and it was brilliant, it went really good and really looked after us. And then I'm waiting, then it's the waiting game and it's see what it looks like. I'm thinking, oh, it's going to be brilliant. And you saw hardly any of it at all. You were all ended up on cutting room floor. But that was on Saturday. And on Monday, I was booked for a bouncer again in Hollyoaks. So I turned up at Hollyoaks and the director saying, yeah, this guy here owns the burger van outside. He won at Stars at thing. So he's going to come in here. You're going to stop him. You're going to go like that and redirect him to there. Just point. That's all you do. So this guy says, well, that don't make sense. I've got the burger van outside the nightclub. He knows me. He'd know me. He'd know my name. He'd speak to me. He won't just go. So you're going, yeah, oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah. So I called him by his name. I can't remember his name now. Other door. Can you use other door, Steve? Use other door, Steve. And so I got a line out of it. So my first weekend working, I had lines in both of the things what I'd done. I didn't get the cutting it job or whatever it was, but so that's how it started. So the fact that I was 14 and a half stone in good, I look like a dormer. I got a typecast ever so much, typecast. But do you know what? You never get being typecast like that. I never got person sat in background in cafe taking a sip out of thing. I would always line. Got a line. You're in front of house. You're interacting with staff. They were all walk on freeze. Walk on freeze. Walk dialogue. And I've got quite a characterful face as well. So, and I got loads of adverts and stuff. I started going to acting class. I went to Emma Stafford's acting class in Manchester. That's where I met Warren Brown. Warren.
Yeah.
So I become like really good mates with Warren. Warren had just started in Hollyoaks. And he left Emma Stafford's class and went to Mark Hudson's Manchester School of Acting. And it was like kind of by appointment only. Anyway, I was good mates with him, and he says, "I'll get you in there. It's brilliant." What have you? So he had a word with Mark, and he says, "Oh, he's a good lad, and you'll like him." And what have you. So I went and I got straight in there with Warren. And there's like Michelle Keegan and all sorts of people in there. There's loads of people doing. As regular television faces now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how it started, and and I started doing these acting classes, and the more success you have, the more success you get as well, don't you? The way acting, you find that
Yeah.
the more you've done, they're not taking a chance, are they? You've proved it, haven't you?
It
So,
proved yourself a bit, yeah.
yeah. So, and I started looking for work. When I first started doing acting, I always thought if you're going to get any jobs, it's all going to be through your agent. But nothing could be further than truth. From truth, I got onto some acting websites, shooting people, and this and that. Started doing student jobs, started doing low budget stuff, getting showreel material, got a showreel, my acting lessons, and what have you. And the more I did, I did quite a bit of modelling work as well for Boss, not catwalk model, obviously. Like character modeling, doing all sorts of
Lived in face.
lived in face, yeah. So that's how it started, and it got to the point. It did get to a point in noughties when I thought, do you know what? I could be a full-time actor here. I could be full. I were earning pretty decent money at times. Probably not enough to live on. Certainly not as much, but not far off. And I'm thinking, do I jack fire service in? And I'm glad I didn't. I'm really glad I didn't. But who knows where it had led, because I was turning work down because I was working 4 on 4 off.
Yeah.
Getting people to cover shifts, trying spinning plates and what have you. But I didn't, and I'm glad I didn't now, because I've got a pension and what have you. But it were really good. I did a lot of adverts. I got recognised quite a bit out and about. Oh, you were not telling this advert and that advert.
What was your biggest advert? Was it the Tesco one? Was it?
That's a recent thing, but in noughties I did all sorts. I did McDonald's, Adidas, Imperial Leather, Co-op funeral service, Co-op life insurance, Crunchy Nut cornflakes. You name it, honestly, maybe I don't know, maybe 20, 25 adverts in noughties. But then, so then what happened? I were on watch at work, and then it got to about 2010, and I decided to go for promotion. Well, a good friend of mine, well, a good friend now, somebody come in to speak to us, because I was quite happy just being a fireman on watch.
Yeah.
Well, that were fine. I was happy doing that and doing my acting. But a lad come in and talk to people about going for promotion and getting your exams and going on to be an officer. And he said, and I come home to me missus now, Tammy, and I said, "What's this bloke's been in?" And she's going, "You ought to go. Why don't you go for it? You're better than him. You've got more to you than." You could be an officer. Why don't you push yourself? Take yourself out of your comfort zone and push yourself. And I went, "No, do you know what? Yeah, okay." So I did, and I went for promotion, and I got promotion, and I got another promotion. And I ended up on regular days. So I was working Monday to Friday. So, as you know, most shoots are through week, aren't they? So to then get time off when you're working every day, not 4 on 4 off, to get time off to go to an audition, which you might get, one audition might pay off out of 10 if you're lucky.
Yeah, it's a numbers game, isn't it?
Yeah, it's you just couldn't do it. So once I got promoted and I was on regular days, acting took a back seat then from sort of 2010 to 2021 when I retired. Acting, I did odd jobs here and there, like I say. I mean, I went in Fresh Meat and Hollyoaks and what have you. I'd quit my extras agency, back in, I think, 2006. I went with an acting agent then,
Right.
a proper acting agent. In fact, I went with Warren's acting agent. He was with line management at the time. and he says, I'll get you, I'll get you in here. I'll get you, I'll put a word in for you. And he did. And I was in Emmerdale, a nice bit in Emmerdale, a couple of episodes with Patrick Moore and Linda Lasardi.
Right, nice.
So but like I say, it had to once in through the 2010, 2011 to 2021, I was with an acting agent, but the volume of work, I was doing one, maybe two jobs a year at most, some years maybe no jobs. But knowing that in 2021 I was going to retire at 55 and I would have 100% availability and that's the beauty of acting, isn't it? You can do it at any age, So I kind of kept me finger in, kept doing bits and bats just to keep me hand in, just to put me on till I retired. And then it's whoa, all systems go, which I did. And then to be fair, last 2021, I'm thinking, right, here we are, and it's been so slow. It's been hard to get momentum going. But last year, I had a good best year since the noughties when I was working regular. Yeah. It's starting to gather a bit of momentum, and I've got quite a few irons in fire that's might lead to bigger things. And you know the score, networking. I'm getting them networks going again now, and it was really exciting year.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to this year now.
Very good. So tell us, obviously, like I said, we met on the film The Rounds by Asa. Tell us about your role in that, Danny.
Yeah, I play Terry Scott. So the film is it's set in the 1970s and also in the present day. And I play Terry Scott, who is the uncle of the main character, who is a boy in the 70s. Well, I say a boy, 17-year-old or whatever, in the 70s, 18-year-old. And obviously an older guy in the present day. Yeah. So, and I'm a bit of they told me about the part. I actually wanted to go for the part of not Stan, the main character, Alan. I wanted to go for I auditioned for the part of Alan in the present day.
Right.
And I did a self-tape, and I was really pleased with my self-tape. I thought that it's nice. That's nice. I really like it. And Asa got back in touch and said, thanks for your thing. It was really good. However, we're going with somebody else, but we think you'd make a really good Terry Scott, good character of Terry Scott in the 70s and what have you. And I was absolutely gutted. I honestly, when you just have a feeling about something, thinking, I've nailed it with that self-tape. I've nailed it. So I was really gutted, and I almost turned, and they said, "Can you do a self-tape as Terry Scott for this part?" And it wasn't the dialogue wasn't as fluid, there wasn't as much of it. It would be a bit bitty and batty, and it didn't really translate that well to a self-tape. So I didn't really do anything with it. I didn't do a self-tape for Terry Scott. And then they said, "We come an audition. We come for an in-person audition." So I went for an in-person audition. But I was gutted that I didn't get the character of Alan, and I went for the audition, and I did this. I did the read through, and I didn't think it. Again, there was not a lot of. There were other characters, several characters maybe in between, so it were a line, but then we had to do some improv pieces, and the improv pieces went really well. You know, like because I've operated in this world. It's a drinking man's culture. You know, it's in the film. It's a drinking man's culture, and this guy's you know, like bloody, you know, proper. It was just meant for me, really. This part of Terriscott.
Yeah.
It's like Yorkshire gobshite who drinks, and, you know,
Toxic is probably the wrong word, but it's a toxic masculinity,
yeah.
alpha male environment, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And that's the environment I'm not. I mean, anybody who knows me, I aren't I aren't like that, you know, at all. I mean, I kind of have been in past, but not to the. I've always been a decent bloke.
Yeah.
I like to think that anybody who, you know, I've got time for. I'll talk to anybody and everybody and help anybody and this and that. But I have grown up in that, and I have seen, you know, I've seen bullies. I've lived with, you know, I know how they act and react and what you know, so I know what balls blown up with, and it's easy to act like that. I can switch it on and off. Do you know what I mean? But I've never been. There's no for bullies. Like I've never been a bully. But I do know.
You're playing a part, you're playing a role, and what you do is, you know, same as me. You pull different facets from life, and a bit from that character, and a bit from that character, and that makes that character. One film, I played a Russian pimp in a film. I've never been a pimp in my life, but it was so far from my character. It was such great fun to be that horrible bastard. And just have this lack of respect for everybody, and I built all his back character, you know, and you know, he grew up watching black and white films and westerns, and that made his character, and the woman that he truly loved was his mother, this mother figure, and then because he was used to seeing working girls all around, that's why he became a pimp, and so I created that little scenario, but based him on. I was brought up in pubs. You know, spent 14 years of my first 14 years of my life in a pub. So I'd seen some alpha male. I played rugby. I'd seen other horrible alpha males, and you know, you take a bit from everything, don't you?
You do. Like you say, I think on my bio for on Monday. I mean, I don't know if it's no, probably not on Spotlight but my bio on Monday, you know, I've got like 50 odd years of life experience, and there's not a lot of stuff that had shocked me really, to be fair.
Yeah, I can
So
imagine. I didn't get the role I went for in the rounds, by the way. I went for Mark's role.
Yes, yeah. Do you know what though? I look back at. I've looked at we never met the other characters, did we? Or I didn't.
No.
I never met the modern day characters.
No.
And so modern day Alan, I watched the trailer, and I'm like, oh my God, he's so perfect for it. He's so perfect for it. And my missus watched it, and she went, "What?" I don't know if she thought. She went, "He's good, isn't he?" And I went, "He's really good. He's been really well cast. He's been really well cast. You know, so."
Yeah, but I was the same. It was just that I was gutted that I didn't get it, and then it was like, "Well, we want you to cast for this other bit," and I was like, and then I read Mike, and then it was like Club MC. I was, I brought up in Clubland, and I could just see the character. It was like,
you nailed it. You absolutely. I couldn't see anybody else as that Santa, and same with Mark. It was perfect for drunk, wasn't it? It was very well cast.
Yeah,
I don't think they're far off the target now, are they?
No, and we'll what they're trying to do is, for anybody watching, is there's like a little Kickstarter for the film, The Rounds. And the Kickstarter is to raise money so that they can put it into festivals. The film's made, the film's done, and it's in post-production now. So they're not asking for the money to make the film. What they're asking for the money for is, when you enter festivals and competitions, it costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know, and to get awards and recognition, and to get it BAFTA qualifying or whatever, it does. There's a process to it, and there's money to it as well. And they've paid out quite a bit to make it. So the Kickstarter fund is to take it now
So
on its next journey, really. So I'll put a link in the description for this channel for the Kickstarter. If you want to help indie film, by all means do it. It's great. There's lots of, like you say, it's a thankless task sometimes making films, and though you're part of a team, it can be I suppose a bit of a lonely journey, but it's a hard journey as well. Indie film, there's a lot of competition out there, and you want to make quality, but you don't necessarily always have the budget to make what you want to make. And the idea is that you get something out there, you do it as best you can, and you get that bit of notoriety, so that next time investors will invest in your product, and you being, as a director or a production team or whatever, the product, and then actors like us get jobs.
Yeah. I think the trailer, I think it looks amazing. I really do. It looks brilliant. I can't wait. I can't wait to see the film, and hopefully it'll be at a premiere. I think some of that relies on some of the Kickstarter money.
Yeah. The Kickstarter money for like to put a premiere, especially if you're going to put on a big theatre, like because they were on about maybe London and places like that. One down south, one up north, wasn't there? So
it looks amazing. I'm so glad I said yes to Terry. A big thing what I missed out on. I had a real connection with fans at Cass. They used to have a supporters club bar, used to be called Lifeline Bar. I don't know if you've ever been down there. Right. And do you remember John Kendrick singing ref?
No.
No, he were a professional referee before they were. Do you know what I mean? When like Fred Lindop and all that.
I know Fred Lindop and Ronnie.
It was same as them. John Kendrick from Cass, so he never really did Cass, but and he used to be a club turn. He used to do Neil Diamond sort of tribute, so he used to do that. But he used to go down to after he'd finished. He'd finished refereeing at this point, but he used to go down and run Lifeline Bar, which was supporters club bar, and I used to go in. So after the game, first team game, I mean, the fact that I was getting I got player of the season and second player of the season and what have you. So I was getting man of matches quite a lot. So I was getting on sheet. If my appearances were on sheet, because in them days there were only 15 players. There were 13 players and 2 subs. Now once 17, your 16th and 17th man were like travelling reserve. So and if nobody pulled out, then you were just there with tracksuit on and probably give people a rub down before match, and stuff. So I was on sheet nearly every week. I were on sheet, so I were there and in and around thing. Anyway, I used to go. We'd play a game and we'd go into Lifeline Bar, and I'd have a pint, maybe 2 pints in Players Bar, just a couple of pints, and then I'd go into Lifeline Bar and. I used to love getting up on. I used to get up on stage and sing. I ain't got a great voice, but like my love for films. I used to love old musicals.
Right.
Honestly, I used to love old musicals, and this first time I got up in Lifeline Bar, I go up and they said, "Oh, anybody know a song?" And I said, "I'll do a song." And obviously I were a player, and like, and I went, "Oh, what song are you going to do?" He looked through the book, and I went, "No, I don't want that. I'll just sing a song off me." So I just sung a song like a cappella, or you know what I mean. Yeah. And I sung Deadwood Stage, Calamity Jane.
Right.
So Deadwood Stage is going on there. So I like belted it out on mic. On stage. So then every time I go in, like fans would be going, "Oh, give us Deadwood Stage, Danny." So I used to get up and did Deadwood Stage. And then I branched off a bit and I sung Bless Your Beautiful Hide. And I knew all the words to them all. And I just get up and sit and sing it. And then I got to do Windy City as well. I went off to that. And then I got onto Rawhide. And
Right.
I sung Rawhide. But then I got an horse. And I say an horse. It was one of one of other players. And it was
Right.
like Keith Jones, who played in kind of played in A team quite a lot with me. Played quite a bit of first team as well. A bit in and out, a bit similar to me. And he played at Donny actually as well. And so I've had loads of different horses over the years, but Keith were me first and me.
What would he get on all fours?
Yeah, he'd get on all fours. I'd sit astride him. I'd get a beer tray, and when it got to chorus, move up, and about, I'd be like hitting him on the head with his tray, hitting myself on the head with his tray. Hurt him up, roll high, get him out, run him in, bang, 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 bang. Honestly, get a beer tray, and at the end of the act, it was almost molded to shape of his head. So, and then, so once I got onto that, that really went down a
That
treat.
was your party
And
piece.
it was that went forward, but I'd sung quite a Calamity Jane for quite a bit, and then I moved on, and then it ended up Rawhide, and then I've even done that at bloody when I was at Doncaster and on the social do's and all sorts. So yeah, I've had quite a few horses, but John Kendrew singing ref. Yeah,
Shame there's no mobile phones in them days. We've had some good footage of that.
I know. Yeah, exactly. So you go on about what happened at Cass. Why didn't it work out as well as that? I'm going at Lifeline Bar. I'm getting up on stage, singing right and knocking shit out of myself and my horse, who happens to be one of the other players as well.
I just love the line. I've had a few horses over the years.
I have, yeah. There was Darren Wilkinson at Doncaster, Bandog, they called him. Yeah. I've had loads.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
My mate Cleo, the lad Cleo who taught me into fire service and what have you. When I've done it out of rugby circles, if Cleo's been there, he's been
your horse.
Yeah.
And do they know what they're getting themselves in for?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, because I suppose first one didn't, but
did he book?
But I used to be fair, I used to eat myself as much stick as I did my horse. I did share it out. I didn't just knock shit out of them and then
you don't want to get disqualified for overuse of the whip.
Just like rolling it over my head. I used to, yeah.
Fantastic. Well, Danny, it's been a pleasure talking to you, mate.
Mate, it's been great.
Absolutely fantastic.
Loved it.
Just before we sign off, any advice to people taking up rugby for the first time, or any youths that are out there playing? Have you got any advice?
Probably don't do what I did when I like train hard. I had that. Train hard. Get a rugby ball in your hands early, and don't go on beer. Be
disciplined.
To be disciplined, yeah. I mean, I was disciplined in a lot of ways, but like I say, it was a different time. It wasn't, they just won't. You won't wear it today. You won't even get through there, would you? It's a different game. Just give it your all.
Right.
Give it your all.
And favourite film of all time? What should people go out and watch? What's your favourite film?
I love odd films. I love strange films. I mean, we'll go on about the old, some old ones. There's some great old films, what have you. But probably my favourite film is Big Lebowski.
The Big Lebowski?
Yeah, I love Big Lebowski. But I love loads of Pulp Fiction. Great film. Lebowski, great film. Coen Brothers. My favourite filmmakers, Coen Brothers.
The Coen Brothers.
Yeah. Miller's Crossing's great film, Raising Arizona. They're just, they're great. English filmmaker, probably Shane Meadows.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to work with Shane. So if ever you watch this, Shane.
Yeah. Shane.
Yeah.
2 Northern actors here.
Yeah.
Get us in.
Yeah, Shane, if you're watching, you know where I am. In fact, one of the lads who played the main protagonist in the Dynamite Dealer one, the rugby one, he was in Gallows Pole.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, he's called Stuart, and he's got a Polish second name, Zublitsky or something like that. He played there was what's the name for it? Works with iron, like an ironmonger sort of thing.
Blacksmith.
Blacksmith. That's the word. That's ironmonger. I mean, it is an ironmonger. Yeah, blacksmith. He plays blacksmith in Gallows Pole, and he was telling me about about doing it and the whole process and what have you. They all lived together like 3 months and just hung about together and what have you, to develop real sort of deep bonds and what have you. It just sounds amazing. But I love Shane Meadows' work. It's Dead Man's Shoes, This Is England. They're great. A Room for Romeo Brass. Have you ever seen that?
No, I've not. No.
Mate, watch A Room for Romeo Brass. It's Paddy Considine's first role. Paddy Considine went to uni with Shane Meadows, and Paddy Considine wanted to be, I think he wanted to be a director or a DOP, but they used to do acting and what have you. And Shane Meadows cast him in this film. He says, "You'd be good, and he just went on from there, never looked back. But it's brilliant film. Bob Hoskins in it. It's real. It's dark. It's so funny, so funny, but really dark as well.
Thanks very much, mate. Like I said, it's much appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us on this week's episode of the Dockhouse Rugby Show. It's been a great pleasure to talk to Danny. If you've got any comments for Danny or any memories of Danny being in the bar, in the players' bar at Castleford, cracking himself on the head with a tray, bang it in the comments. We'd love to hear from you, and I'm pretty sure that Danny will jump on as well and reply. But that's it from this week from the Dockhouse Rugby Show. Oh, in case you're wondering, Dave was invited out to a dinner tonight. My wingman, who usually presents with us. So that's why Dave's not here tonight. He's out enjoying himself and living life to the full. And just me and Danny here at the coalface, crafting away. But that's it. We'll see you next time on the Dockhouse Rugby Show.
See you later, Keith. See you, everybody. Thank you.